Did you know that roughly 35% of the inventory right now in Ankeny, Iowa is new construction? That's right. So looking back year to date, we have roughly 2,200 properties on the market right now, and over 772 of them are new construction properties. So that's a lot of inventory and clearly shows a lot of need for new construction in Ankeny. So if you are someone who's thinking about new construction, I am going to give you a very quick and dirty rundown of what you can expect and how you can build or buy new construction properties. Let's jump right into this. So the first way that you can buy new construction homes is by buying a spec in a development. So these properties are usually like your D.R. Horton, your Hubble Homes. They get put up very, very quickly, and there's not a lot of customizations that you can make to them. So the way that these builders make money and are able to build usually a larger square footage footprint for lesser money is because they buy a lot of things in bulk. So with this, it's the same tile, the same flooring, the same paint. So if you come in and you say, I really like this home, but I would like this paint color instead, or I would like this kind of refrigerator instead, it's not going to happen for you. They're not going to do it. And that is kind of their business model, so to speak. And you're going to be unable to go through and do some of those customizations that you're looking for. This is your most competitive price point in the market. And it is more of like an entry level kind of new construction, I would say. So your second option for new construction is to be able to go through and do some customizations within a subdivision as well. So these are your builders that might have a handful of different floor plans for you to choose from. And they say you can do some custom, but when they're referring to custom, they mean you can pick out your cabinets, you can pick out your countertops. You usually go into a design center, you're able to choose everything that you would like to put into your home, but it's usually pertaining to like colors and like the cosmetic features of the property, right? You're not going to be going in and moving windows around, which brings us to the next kind of construction that you can purchase, which is a custom build within a subdivision. So in this situation, you have a builder who usually has an architect on kind of file, retainer, however you want to say it. They have someone that they work with pretty regularly. And this is the type of home where you're like, you know what, I've always wanted a 2-story great room and a wall full of windows, and I want my laundry upstairs, and I want a curved staircase. This is a builder who is going to come in and make that happen for you. So they're working with a draftsman or an architect to get a completely customized plan put together for you. A lot of times that does come with additional deposit money because you are paying for the architect's time, and they're going to come up with something, pretty much whatever your Pinterest board and your imagination allows, they're going to do that for you. And then the next type of new construction that you could purchase would be a custom home outside of a subdivision. So these are kind of your one-off lots that are not as common. You're not going to see, 100 different homes going up in a track. This is a lot that you might be able to go in and purchase on your own and then hire the builder to come and take care of for you. So that is a fourth kind of build that you often see in new construction inventory. And there's just a lot of different ways that you can get into it. Now, the next question that I get from a lot of people is, how do I go about deciding who is a good builder and who is not a good builder? And that's a really great question, because across the Des Moines Metro, there are hundreds of builders. Most people don't realize that because you're probably thinking of like your big box builders that you see all the time. But there are so many people who are building houses right now. And it can be kind of tough to know how someone operates when they're not someone that you're hearing about all the time. They're not someone that you're seeing about all the time. So I think that there are 3 different ways that you can really look at a builder and know how they do. One of them, I would say, is their reputation. So I remember learning in one of my last sales jobs that if you have a poor experience with someone, you're going to tell, I think it's like 5 to 8 people. If you have a positive experience, you're only going to tell one other person. So with that being said, if you're hearing really great things about a builder, I would put that as a green flag completely. When you have people who are willing to rant and rave about them, I think it means that they're doing a really great job for you. And then the second thing that I think that you can look at when you are looking at builders is, what is their turnover like of the agents or team that they work with? So I think just with any company across the board, if you see an organization that has people who stay there for 10 to 15 to 20 years, I think you know that that company has a really good value or mission statement, and that those employees are also feeling very valued, like they're making an impact and they're doing a really great job there. I think the same applies for builders. When you see builders who have turnover that's taking place every 6 months to a year, They can't keep an agent in that seat. It's just a revolving door over and over again. Not only do you kind of wonder about what's going on behind the scenes with that person, you also wonder about how well those people are acquiring the knowledge for your process. So if you have someone who's only been there for a year, they're probably just getting, I think it takes about a year to learn most jobs. So if you're just getting your feet on the ground with that opportunity, and then all of a sudden, whatever happens to cause that turnover, I just don't think that they're carrying the same amount of knowledge as those builders who have longstanding agents who have been with them for 5 years, 10 years, sometimes even longer. I think that is a really great indication of the builder and how they're doing. And then the last thing that I think that you can look for in deciding whether or not it's a builder you want to work with, reach out to them and see if you can ask for some references or some people that you can talk to. And most builders, I think, should be able to provide you with a handful of people who are able to tell you how the process and how the experience went with them. But I think it's even better when you're talking to these folks and they might be on their second or third or fourth build with them, because some people will start building new construction, they will never live in anything otherwise, and they will continue to work with the same builder over and over again. That is the epitome of a green flag to move forward with that person. You know that that builder is doing a great job in taking care of them when it comes to the year warranty. They're making sure that they are getting just the red carpet kind of treatment if you're going to continue to build with them, and that they really enjoy their homes. Now, one of the frontmost factors when people are looking at new construction, or any home for that matter, is really the affordability and whether or not it makes sense for them financially. So I do think it's important to talk about some of the numbers that go along with this. So if you are looking at new construction and you're looking more along the lines of a townhome, you can really plan on, I would say, the base minimum to get into newer construction with a townhome is probably roughly $240,000. With this, you're looking at a property on a slab, probably about a 1,500 square foot 2-story, and that is going to give you, again, just a very entry level property. Now, when you move into single family, you're probably looking at closer to that $300,000 price point. Again, this will be a property on a slab because basements are very expensive to pour, so that adds a lot of additional cost. So if you're looking to stay, again, more affordable, it's going to be in that $300,000 price point. And these are going to be more of your spec or tract builders who are able to meet that very competitive price point. If you want to get into properties that do have a basement, which if you have the affordability and the option, I would always encourage people to move forward with a basement if they can, just because it is going to help you quite a bit on resale. That's looking more along the lines of 375,000 is where you see those new builds starting to have basements pretty regularly, along with a little bit more square footage. And then if you're hoping to get away from those spec builders, so kind of stepping up from the spec into some of those builders where you can go through and customize a little bit more, you can pick your countertops, your cabinets, you're probably looking closer to that $450,000 range. And then from there, the sky is really the limit. If you want to get into more of a custom floor plan, you're probably looking at closer to the $600,000 to $700,000 range if you're going to be working with a builder and their architect. Right in line with the money, deposits are also something that I think that people need to understand before they jump into something. So you are going to be looking at, for those tract builders, probably closer to $3,000 to $5,000 in deposit money in order to get into something new construction wise. And then, but that cost can vary so much. If you're getting into something that's more customized, you might be looking at closer to 10% for a deposit. And I do like for people to know up front that if you are planning on going through and making tons of customizations, you are going to have the bougiest house on the block, your builder is probably going to ask you to pay for a lot of those customizations, just because they don't know, like, if something were to happen, you decided not to move forward with the purchase, and they have to sell it on the open market. They don't want to be holding the bill for $20,000 worth of upgrades that they don't feel like they can maybe get on the market. I would say the next most important thing when people are looking at buying homes is timeline. So timeline is super, super important. You want to make sure that you're not homeless. And from a timing standpoint, if you are looking at purchasing more of one of those spec-based homes, you're probably looking at anywhere between, I would say, 3 to 4 months. Again, remember, they buy these materials in bulk. They're all kept on site, and you have a team that's out there every single day working on those properties and building the same home over and over again. So it can happen very, very quickly. If you are looking at something that is, again, like in a development with some customizations, but not a completely customized floor plan, you're probably looking, I would say, closer to 5 to 6 months. And then once you get into that customized floor plan kind of area, I would say anywhere between 7 to 12 months, just depending on what the builder availability is for what you're looking to do. So it might seem like it's kind of hard to time anything with the variability of those timelines. I do think it's important to note that the builder will usually about 6 weeks prior to the close date. That is when they're going to issue your official close date. I have not had a builder who has not met their time frame yet. So out of all of the new construction that I've sold, every single time that close date comes out, I know that they probably pad it a little bit, but they are going to hit that for you. You might be wondering how you go about selling your house if you are working with a variable timeline, and I think that's a really great question as well. So one of the main ways that people go about purchasing new construction is to get a bridge loan. So this is the idea that your lender is going to approve you for the mortgage on your new place, so you have to be able to afford both. They have to say you are approved for whatever your current mortgage is, plus the additional debt that you are going to be taking on. And in this situation, you don't have to sell your current house. You can either do a completely separate loan where you put that money down and you start making payments on that while you make payments on this, or you can do a bridge loan where it draws against your current mortgage for the equity, and then you have a certain amount of time to try to get your other home sold. So that's, I would say, one of the more viable options, because a lot of builders don't like working with the subject to sale necessarily. But if you don't like doing it that way, there are some folks who will instead opt to sell their current house. So they might say, you know what, I don't want to know what the market's going to do in another 8 to 12 months. Maybe you don't want to sell your house if it's going to be completed closer in the winter time. Maybe you don't want to do it in December, January, anything like that. So you might say, I'm going to go ahead and sell it now. I'm going to move into temporary housing in the meantime, and then I will purchase my house without that contingency and with access to all of my resources, all of my cash, to get a down payment put in instead, which is also a really great option. I think it's good for folks who don't love like the variability of it or having to wait on things. It just takes care of that one side of things and gets you into the next. Now, I always tell people to kind of heed this warning a little bit, but new construction is not for people who suffer from decision fatigue. So if you're something who would, or if you're someone who would prefer to move into a completely done house and not have to worry about your basement light fixture, your basement light switch, like you make all of those decisions if you're looking at a plan where you have to do any customization. So just be ready to make a lot of decisions. Usually in the process, again, if you're not buying one of those track or spec homes, you are going to have a couple different meetings where you go to the design center and you make all of those choices at once. I am going to be putting together a separate video where I talk about the things that you should be thinking about before these meetings. Simple things like having a, like the pull out garbage can in your kitchen and having a cabinet for that are things that can get overlooked very quickly if you are in the heat of the moment, not sitting down and really thinking about the choices of what you're going to put in your new construction home. I will be making a video on that at a different point in time that you can check out all of the different things that you should be thinking about if you are doing new construction that you should be putting into your home. So I hope that this guide was helpful for you. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to give me a call. I would love to help you navigate new construction in Ankeny, Iowa, or in the Des Moines Metro as a whole. My contact information is 515-210-5198.